What's up and welcome back to the channel. My name is Andrew and this is Coast to Coast Off-Road Adventures. Now that I have my camper installed, I'm going to be building a custom kitchen slide out and storage system. So before I get started, I have to remove my fridge slide that was temporary, and I have to drop my spare tire so that I can remove this. I'm going to be building this slide system out of these aluminum T-rails, so it's going to stay lightweight and should be fairly easy to do. So I'm going to get rid of the slide and drop my spare and get started. I decided to build this kitchen system out of these aluminum T-rails because it would keep the weight down, but more importantly, the material would be more forgiving than lumber. Because they go together with these corner brackets, if I'm a little off on my measurements, these brackets allow me to make adjustments if and when I screw up. Now, everything I used to build this system, I have included links in case you want to try this for yourself. But before building this, I drew the whole thing up in SketchUp, something I used quite a bit in my former life when I owned a landscape business. This way, I can see the finished product and revert to it for measurements. So now that I have all the notes of each cut, it's time to start cutting. I designed this entire kitchen slide based on this stove, the GSI Pinnacle, which is only 1.5 inches tall, 12.5 inches deep, and 20 inches wide. Now, in order for this drawer that the stove will live in to meet that measurement, my beginning opening for my slide has to be 18.5 inches by 25.5 inches, which is also the length of the slide. Now for the top part that will go on the kitchen slide, I got these 2-inch thick rails so that I would have a slot for the slide to be bolted onto. Now that I've double checked my measurements, it's back to the table saw. So at this point in the build, there's a couple of words of advice I can give you. The first is, after making my first cut, I quickly realized flip-flops are not the appropriate attire, so I went in, put on work pants and work boots to make the rest of my cuts. The second thing is, if you have a chop saw or a miter saw, that would work best for cutting this aluminum. I already had a table saw, so for me it made the most sense to buy a $20 aluminum blade on Amazon instead of spending $300 on a new miter saw. But a miter saw would be the best for this application. And here's where I run into my first problem. This little corner bracket is blocking my slide from lining up with the track, so I'm gonna have to cut a small edge of the slide off. Okay, back to work. Okay, so after probably about 2 or 3 solid hours, I've got the frame in. So I'm not gonna have this anything running across the front there. It's gonna have to be open because it's gonna have to slide open. How I'm gonna reinforce, and so this right here is gonna be 18 inches between each track, and how I'm gonna reinforce that is by taking on the outside edge of this and doing rev nuts into the bed with these little L brackets that will mount all of this to the floor. So I'll put some behind on the back side of that bracket. I'll put 2 or 3 little L brackets rev nutted into the floor, probably one on this ridge here, one on this ridge, and then one on this ridge right here. And then I'll probably come on the outside of this. I might not attach anything here because I'm on the edge of this little ridge, so I probably won't bolt anything down there, but I'll continue on the inside right there and do some L brackets. And I'm debating, after building this and seeing it in person, I'm thinking of putting an L track right up against that wheelbase and then tying it back into that one, and then coming up and running a brace across the wheelbase because I am up above the wheelbase. What I have in mind for this area here, that's gonna be a lid that I'll just drill like a finger hole to lift it up, and it'll be on a hinge that's gonna be on the inside, also mounted on the tracks. And so this whole space right here that's like kind of dead space behind the fridge is gonna just lift up the lid, and I'll have access to all that back there. I'm trying to find someone who can build a custom plastic molded water tank, because I think I could if I had that molded to the shape of that square, then I think I could get about almost 20 gallons of water right there. And then I would just come around and I'd run it up and to my shower awning that's going to be on my camper, and then I would run another one around the back around here, and then right here I'm going to do 2 quick connect ports because I'm going to have a little bit of space. If you can see, the wheel well is here, and then I have about, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches of space here. I'm gonna put a couple of quick connects right there, but then this whole entire area right here is gonna be my one just big massive drawer. It's coming along. Checking to see if this door closes with these things right here, if I need to cut some off shorter. So the touching the tailgate, it's super tight. But I kind of like it like that. Okay, now that I know that it'll fit in the truck, it's time to hop up and make all the measurements for all the adjoining braces so that I don't have to be in and out of the truck over and over and over again. Once I get this thing built, I did design it to come out of the truck, so I will build it in the garage so I don't have to keep jumping in and out of the truck. Right, good morning. This is day 2 of my kitchen slide and storage system build. I did go ahead and finish this cross beam last night. Not recording that, so I have that in place. Now I'm just gonna put the support beams or legs all the way around. There's gonna be a total of 15 of them. So I'm gonna get to work making all of those cuts. In this case, they're going to be, I already have one. It's going to be 8 and an eighth, so 8 and an eighth of an inch tall, and they're going to go all along here so that it will be strong enough to put weight on, because my youngest daughter, she's 13 years old. She's the only one of our family that, besides my wife, that enjoys camping. So this will be a platform for her to sleep on with me and the wife upstairs in the tent. So I'm gonna get to work cutting all of these short pieces. Then I already have the piece cut to go that way, and I have the top piece to go back across and come this way on both sides. So I already have those cut from yesterday. So the rest of the framework should go together pretty quickly. And once I get the framework in, then I'm gonna come back to the slide and build out the additional 2 sections that are gonna slide out. And I'll show you what I'm talking about there on the model that I drew. But yeah. It's coming together. I'm liking it. Super lightweight, but strong. And the reason why I chose this material, not only because it's lightweight, but because it's forgiving. Because the way that you connect these with the brackets, if you screw something up, you can unscrew them and disconnect them and do it over again, or you've got some fluctuation in kind of how these pieces move. Whereas if I were building this out of like wood, once you cut lumber and it's too short, you gotta throw it out and redo it. So I built a lot of Legos and building blocks when I was a kid. So this is kind of more my speed than carpentry. I am not the best carpenter at all. So enough blabbing, let's get to work. Now, what I'm doing here is where I'm going to have the door for more storage. I'm going to build that part of the frame out of this 2-inch aluminum. That way the freestanding plywood will have something to rest on. I'm also to the point where I can take this out of my truck and start building it in the garage. So I think I'll do that. know it seems I'm taking a long time to do this, but these two slides have to be perfectly lined up, or else I could have trouble with them. They could get hung up because the angle of each slide is off slightly. So I'm making sure I get this right. Okay, I think I'm in the shot. I hope I am, but the frame is finished. The last thing that I need to do, I have to get these two brackets out that I accidentally left in there, so I have to undo that corner. There's a bracket here that's supposed to go in there, so I need to redo that. I just noticed that. And then there's one other bracket right here that I left in. So these brackets are kind of frustrating. That's the only downfall to this is trying to figure out how many brackets you need and put them in before you bolt everything down. So I messed up and cut this one too short. It does have a bracket holding it, but it actually made my life a lot easier because I could slide brackets in to here to connect all this. But yeah, I'm gonna do these things and then I'm gonna throw this thing in the truck because I did make it to where it will slide in and out. So if I do want to get my truck back for a weekend, this can all come out relatively easy. So let's do that. Now, one thing I forgot to mention before I throw this in my truck is I did put a layer of weather stripping on the bottom. That way it would eliminate any rattling that might occur while I'm off-roading. So that's what I'm doing here. Now that the frame is finally done, it's time to take it out one last time, but not before marking all the places I would drill for my rev nuts. And once I drill out all the holes and install the rev nuts, the frame goes in one last time. I know it seems like this frame took me a long time to build, but honestly, I did it in a Friday evening and half a Saturday. And now it's time to start on the plywood. This piece right here, I've already cut down to size. It's going to be the top for the fridge slide. Now I'm getting ready to router a decorative edge on the side. Once that's sanded down good, I will take it outside and start painting it with a black truck bed liner paint from Rust-Oleum. While that's drying, I cut down the next piece of plywood for the main part of the platform and then router the forward-facing edge. After that, it's time to put away the saw. I'm sure my neighbors will appreciate that. But before I call it an evening, I will make a template for the final platform of the truck bed. I will do this using cardboard and tracing it out and cutting it out and then transferring that to the plywood. And hopefully it will be the same shape as my truck bed. Well, it is Saturday evening. I finished with the framework, got it in the truck, got the platform cut out for the fridge slide, started making my drawers for the kitchen slide, and I've got my one lid that's going to be behind the fridge cut out. I've got those painted, just letting them dry. I'm going to do another coat of those tomorrow. I've got my template made out. Tomorrow I will cut out this, fit it in the truck, make some adjustments, and then do final sanding on this. Might need to rerouter the edge, depending on if I have to cut some length of it off, and get it painted, and hopefully by Sunday afternoon I'll be putting this in the truck and getting it all finished. So I started on this Friday after work, so it's a few hours, maybe 4 hours on Friday. A pretty good bit of my Saturday today. Took some breaks here and there, and then a pretty good bit of Sunday, and this will be finished. So it's a nice DIY 3-day project, possibly 4. But I'm keeping track of everything I'm spending, and I'll tell you how much all this costs. But yeah, it's pretty late. I'm gonna call it an evening. It's like almost 9, and see you tomorrow. Sunday morning, the morning of what I hope is the last day of this build. I'm working on getting this template cut out and hopefully not making too many adjustments to it. Then I will sand it, get it painted, and move on to mounting the other parts of the platform. Now let's kick this into hyperdrive.
All right, so I just got back from Big Bear, California. I was rushing to get this thing finished to go to Big Bear and get some Jeep badges. I got Holcomb Creek Trail and Gold Mountain Trail. I was gonna get John Bull, but it was closed due to the gold fire, so still have to go to Big Bear yet again to get that Jeep badge. But in rushing to get this thing finished, I apologize. I did not film much of me building out this cabinet here or much of this drawer system here. But I'm back now, and this is the finished product. I'm happy with it the way it is. It's functional. When I pull this out to rest on the edge of my tailgate, gives it plenty of stability, and I'm happy with it. So this is my DIY custom kitchen slide and drawer system, and the final price that I ended up spending on all the materials. I'm not counting any tools that I used, just materials only. Grand total was $517.05. So you can build this yourself for, I would say, under $500. I went over 500 a little bit, but I think there's probably a tooler here and there thrown in that final cost. All I did was add up the receipts. This is my custom kitchen slide and drawer system. If you liked this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. This is a new channel that spawned from my other channel, which is Coast to Coast Outdoor Adventures. This channel just focuses on off-roading, overlanding, and Jeep modifications. So if you're into backpacking and hiking, go check out that other channel. I'll leave it in the description below. But being that this is a new channel that spawned from my other channel, this channel is not going to have the subscriber count and all that. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, help this channel grow, and I'll leave you a couple videos I think you're going to like. So I'll see you over there.